Okay, let's try that again. Hailing frequencies open, and welcome to Star Trek Discoverage, the live podcast that boldly goes into excruciating detail about this week's episode of Star Trek Picard. I'm your host, Aaron Coker, aka Caliban, and now you're fighting with portals. In studio tonight, in place of my usual co-host, Ella Pearson, is my co-host on the Just Enough Trope podcast. She's also the host of the Sailor Noob podcast, and she's a frequent Enterprising Individuals and Discoverage guest. It's Mika and Hana. Mika, welcome back to Discoverage.
Hello, thank you for having me.
It's so great to have you back here.
Yeah.
Sorry about the technical hiccups.
It happens.
Not sure what the problem was.
Yeah,
Streaming earlier today, and then it just says... Let's do it wrong. Let's do it wrong.
It was fine.
Let's mix it up a little bit.
My work computer just decided there was like a push that wasn't like supposed to go out with my work for everybody. Well, not everybody, for a bunch of people to get Windows 11. And there have been
Can your computers handle the new Windows?
Well, mine can because it's newer, but a lot of people have had issues. Yeah. And then like today I went to edit a video for work because there's I have a course that I'm supporting where you have to
This is a Star Trek show.
Yeah, I know. Anyways, I needed the sound and I was like, where is the sound? What? And then I go to the settings. It's like, oh, you don't have any device hooked up with for sound. I was like, what?
Yeah.
And I was just freaking out. And then, like, I was talking to some of my coworkers. They're like, maybe you should just try restarting it. And then it was fine.
Yeah. Windows, take it. Hey, I know. Windows sound, the worst.
Literally the worst. Anyways.
But they got us over a barrel. What else can we do?
I know.
I'm not getting Apple. It's been a little while since you've been on the show. How was I was going to say, how was your break from this show? But... how have you enjoyed Picard so far, and I guess the end of Prodigy earlier?
Well, I really enjoy Prodigy. It's probably my favorite new Trek. I just really enjoy it. I think they're having a lot of fun with it, and they're being really innovative and giving us like something new, which I think is really great. I was really looking forward to Picard because I was excited to see some of our old faves back in action. And I have to say I've been kind of disappointed. So
Really?
Yeah.
I suppose we'll probably get into that.
Probably.
Sorry,
but
letting people know we're back on here.
Yeah, no problem. But
I mean, Gates McFadden is trending. Star Trek Picard is trending.
Yeah, everybody's talking about it.
That's it. Riker's trending.
Of course, Riker's trending.
17 Seconds is trending. So people are talking about it, but I guess we'll give you a chance.
Why is 17 seconds trending?
We won't let you bury yourself quite this early in the show. You will have an opportunity to talk about your thoughts a little later.
Okay, sounds good.
Great to have you back on the show. Let's dive
back here.
right into it and talk about news in the world of Star Trek. And there is some news in the world of Star Trek.
Okay.
Some important news, actually.
All right.
So, two things. There's some Star Trek 4 news, but I'm going to save that to the end because that's only important to me, and maybe Chris Pine.
Oh, okay.
The big news is that the future of Star Trek TV may be in doubt going forward.
Really?
Yes.
How
so? As a person who has their finger on the pulse of the entertainment industry, as I know you do because you are a co-host on the Just Enough Trope podcast where we talk about all the news that's fit to cast in the world of nerdy entertainment. You know that we're cutting the fat. Everybody's cutting the fat everywhere, right? TV network and studio budgets are shrinking because it turns out this whole streaming thing, not an easy way to make a profit here.
Yeah,
or at least we've overspent. They've overspent on these sort of lavish shows.
I think that's a lot of it, honestly.
A lot of companies have spent a lot to secure intellectual property for their streaming services, and they're not seeing the returns that they want to see.
Well, they've raised it a whole bunch. It's like now $15 a month, but you can't expect people to keep watching if you continue to raise it really, really high. Yeah.
And this is like, they talk about like peak something or other. This is peak, not in terms of like everything is the best and it's just also good. This is peak TV in terms of like we have reached a turning point as to like where TV is going to go
Sure.
in the streaming space. And so Paramount, who it has to be said has had a great last couple of years, is feeling that as well. And after the recent merger, they always wanted to pivot, they say in the business, towards profitability.
Of course.
And so that means, and nothing official has been announced necessarily, although asterisk, we'll get to it in a second.
Oof.
That means that right after, like 6 months after the big announcement, the big victory lap by Kurtzman and everybody saying like, we've come here, 5 years, here we are, and we've got a lot more in store. Maybe we don't, asterisk, maybe we don't have so much in store.
Oh.
Now, again, like I said, nothing's definite, but this is absolutely what we kind of think. And there's been a lot of speculation.
All right.
One bit of speculation has been confirmed or basically just, announced, essentially, that Discovery will be ending with season 5. That was announced a couple hours ago.
I mean, I'm fine with that. I think, they've gone a lot of places. They went to the future, for goodness sakes.
Yeah, and nothing has been said. Obviously, when this was announced, like I said, a couple hours ago, immediately, a bunch of press releases all flew,
of course,
out the door, and none of them say anything. They all say, "I am so honored to have a lot of the producers. When we started this, we didn't think about it." So no, there is no real insider thing. There's no. Maybe in the future we'll hear that it was, it was just a cost thing, and it got to the point where this bar was higher than this bar. I don't know.
I have a question for you. So I have my own opinions, but
well, that's why you're here.
Yeah, I know. Oh, hello.
I want those.
So do you think that people will look back on Discovery and be like, oh, it didn't go to 7 seasons? Not quite as successful.
I don't know. I mean, how many streaming shows go to 7 seasons?
Fair point.
I don't think that we look at TV that way anymore.
I don't think
that's
do either.
What the studios are dealing with right now. I think we might end up looking at 5 as being the new 7. 5 is the new 7. Write that down.
That's good. Okay.
Whereas you go, well, Discovery got 5, so we're going to shoot for 5. Now, obviously, Picard is a kind of a different thing because it's an emeritus cast.
Yeah.
But that will be the other Star Trek show that's wrapping up.
I was thinking of that too.
And so there's some stuff that's been said. It's mostly stuff that we've already talked about and already heard. But there's the idea that the Discovery, now that we know it'll wrap in 5, that crew's not going anywhere. And by crew, I mean, the actors, but I mean the crew behind it.
Oh, okay.
Michelle Paradise, Kurtzman, he just signed a new deal. He's not going anywhere.
Right.
So they're thinking maybe Discovery will be the launching pad for the Academy series.
Oh, with Tilly?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a possibility.
Okay.
Picard season 3 is, except for one, Mikan Hana, getting rave reviews so far, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I'm not the only
And so there's been talk.
Is it? Okay. Time out. How is it 100%?
People think it's good. They think it's positive. It all has to be is positive. If it's positive and not negative, it's fresh. That's the binary critic system. Different. We talk about this on Just Enough Trope all the time. JustEnoughTrope.com. You can listen to that.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Star Trek Legacy is a possible branching out series from Star Trek Picard, featuring 7 of 9 as captain of the USS Titan. That's something that has been kicked around.
That'll happen.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, we'll get into it, but I think she's going to be captain before the end of the season.
Right, but do you think that she'll get her own show? And the
possible.
scuttlebutt is that the crew that we see now on the Titan will be, the crew of the Titan show, the Legacy show. I hope that that's not true. No offense to working actors.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
No offense to working actors, and you're doing your job, doing great, but we need some more distinct people in there.
Yeah.
Like Discovery has a diverse and like charismatic crew. Strange New Worlds has the same thing. You like these people. When they kill them off, you get kind of mad.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah, but you want to care about them, though, because if you
Right.
didn't care about them, that'd be a real problem.
yeah. And no offense to Reading Rainbow Jr., but so I don't know. We'll see.
Reading Rainbow Jr.
Any
That's good.
thoughts that you have about this? And of course, I should mention always the total pipe dream of having Michelle Yeoh
Oh, that
in this
is.
Section 31 show.
I mean, so no. No, she's going to be at home counting her awards and also just doing all these other cool new things. And like, they should have done it when they had the chance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they've been talking about that for years. And like, she exited the show how long ago now? We could have had at least one season under our belt.
Has
when
an
this happened.
Oscar-winning actor ever been the lead of a Star Trek show? No, the answer's no.
Why did I have to think about that
I don't
for
know
so
why.
long?
I don't know why you had to.
I don't know why either.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I love Sir Patrick Stewart, but he hasn't won an Oscar.
No.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess it's interesting that we're talking about the possibility of new shows when we also just learned out that they're cutting the fat. And yeah, we have 2 shows ending, but it almost makes me think that, like, well, then will we have any more new shows for a while? You know what I mean?
So, yeah, maybe, maybe not. They'll definitely slow down, but I think that they're, obviously nothing is set in stone unless you've shot it and you're just going to, and then even ask Batgirl, like that isn't even a guarantee.
No, it's not.
Paramount needs to definitely get its messaging right, though, because we've been endless commercials of Sly Stallone and Anson Mount climbing a mountain with Beavis and Butthead, and like they've really spent for a company that's
weird.
like, oh, I just checked my bank account. We're in the negative, everybody.
Right.
Like it's weird to have had this huge push. Abrams just 6 months or maybe more back was like, you can't believe it. Star Trek 4 is going to be so great. We got all this stuff. It's not going to be in Star Trek 4. Matt Shackman quits.
Yeah.
Well, that's a pretty good segue to talk about what's going on with Star Trek 4. And the answer is nothing, but
question mark?
asterisk is the word of the night here.
Okay.
So Chris Pine was just profiled in Esquire.
Tell me more.
And because of his Dungeons and Dragons movie,
Clearly.
what is this world that we live in? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Esquire, Dungeons and Dragons, Esquire, there's like this, GQ,
Well,
GQ's more of a GURPS magazine, but Esquire is like, that's your D&D magazine.
I don't know if you know this, but D&D is sexy now. So.
Well, yeah. It's got the chick from Daredevil in it.
Right.
So anyway, that reveals a lot about me. So in these big profiles, it kind of gets on everybody. They go talk to your co-stars. They talk to your, producers. And so they talked to Abrams, and Abrams said about the movie, quote, I'll say it's the first time since the first Star Trek 2009, that we have a story that feels as compelling as the first one. So he's still touting that they've got they don't have a director or money, but they've got this script that they're serious about.
Okay.
So that is still in development.
I mean, that's certainly what it sounds like to me.
Here's what Chris Pine said. I don't know anything, he says, end quote. And he says, he says, in Star Trek land, actors are the last people to find out anything. I know costume designers that have read scripts before the actors. He's frustrated, he says. He says he loves the franchise, but he can't change the system in which things are created.
I mean, I feel for him, right? Because how long has this been going on now? And I feel like it really heated up like a year or so ago, and then it's like, it's on, it's off. It's on, it's off. And it just keeps going back and forth, and like it yo-yos. And like when you're an actor, especially when you're in high demand and you're working as much as Chris Pine, you can't sit around waiting for the phone.
Yeah.
You have to work.
Yeah,
so,
I think the first hiccup was, I mean, obviously Beyond took a little longer to make than Into Darkness did.
Yeah.
But not that much longer.
No.
And the big hiccup was the fact that it, made $344 million instead of $467 million. And so there's your eyes being bigger than your stomach. Sometimes your eyes aren't big enough, because I think Paramount said, well, that's not enough money.
That's not enough money.
Even though Into Darkness made the most money any Star Trek movie has ever made. I think 2009 has surpassed it in a recent re-release or something like that.
Huh.
They're sort of neck and neck, but they both made
Okay.
about $1 billion globally. And so you go, you know what? It's funny because the old TOS, old Harv Bennett, they just keep cranking these things out no matter what.
Yeah,
They're like,
I
are they
know.
all alive? Bring them back. Let's do another one.
Yeah, right,
Paramount
right.
has the biggest Star Trek film ever, a $1 billion movie, and the next one doesn't make $1 billion, and they're like, we're out of the Star Trek business.
Whoa, it's just
Forget
a
it.
failure.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Let that kid who's going to do the Mummy movie, let him do some TV shows.
Right.
We'll see what happens.
I know.
So I don't know. Pine went on to say about the fact that the money wasn't big enough that, quote, I'm not sure Star Trek was ever built to do that kind of business. I always thought, why aren't we just appealing to this really rabid fan group and making the movie for a good price and going on our merry way?
Thank you.
So I don't know who's coaching
Thank
him, but
you.
that's the right answer.
I mean, like, you try to appeal. I mean, this may be kind of cliche, but you try to appeal to everybody, you're going to appeal to nobody.
Well,
right? Or
that's-
at least.
Yeah, but that's, they're the 4 quadrants are 44 quadrants now, and you
Oh my
have to, these
gosh.
cost so much that they have to try to appeal to everybody.
Well, just like you resist the urge to have it cost
Resist
so
the
much.
urge.
Right.
It just bleep, blop, blop. They don't even know what you're talking about.
I know. But like you just pull it back a little bit. You don't quite spend as much money. Take out a couple lens flares.
That's what I don't understand. Is that
Yeah.
like if you could stretch, so you spend $250 million on these things. If you could spend $100 million and make it look like it was more,
Right.
or just even put a filter on it, make it seem prestige. Instagram
Yes.
that.
Right.
Then why not? It's less of a gamble. But is there something about like, oh well, I'm at the party and my shoes didn't cost as much as everybody else's shoes, so I'm embarrassed. Like, what's this?
There
Just make a
must
movie
be.
and then people will be like, wow, how did you make that for only $100 million? It made $1 billion.
Right.
That's all gravy.
right.
I'm not a movie executive. Neither is Chris Pine. He says, quote, after the last one came out and didn't do the $1 billion that everybody wanted to do, and then Anton passed away, I don't
Yeah.
know. It just seemed ...
Well.
He pauses,
Yeah.
looks out the window at the view Star Trek bought. Esquire, what are you what are you doing, Esquire?
Okay. Can I say something?
We all know that this means war bought him that view.
Oh my God. That is so. That's wow. You know what I'm over, and this reminds me of it, is like when somebody interviews like a star and they have to describe everything that they're wearing when they go to a restaurant, like they were wearing like such and
Chris
such and
Pine is just like you and me.
right.
Arriving 15 minutes late for our
Yes.
coffee at Spago.
Right.
His his left shoe was untied, and I thought, the mighty have fallen.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
you're just like,
it's always like that.
why?
It's still like
why?
that.
Yes. Why are we?
It's been like
still
that
doing this
since the beginning of celebrity journalism.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Get to the part where you're interviewing
Yeah.
them. I came here for the celebrity.
I just like the fact that they're talking about the money though, and they're like digging him about the thing, and we all know. I mean, that's A Wrinkle in Time money bought him that view. What are we talking about here? You make a movie with Oprah, and that's where the money comes
Oh,
from.
clearly.
All right, well, enough talk about Star Trek 4, which is never going to happen at this point. But our hopes and prayers and thoughts and everything else goes out to the Star Trek.
Positive vibes.
To the Star Trek franchise. I think that TV is going to be okay. I think that, honestly, a lot of this stuff is conjectural anyway, and hasn't happened, even though they've been talking about it for a while.
Right.
Star Trek, Starfleet Academy, Star Trek Section 31.
Yeah.
So maybe those will just end up being vaporware and never come out, or maybe they'll have to get serious about a couple things and not all these other things. But it will put them in a situation where we are now saying goodbye, theoretically, to everybody from TNG. This is it.
Yeah.
So they're going to be forced at this point to make a gamble, and hopefully gamble on something new, something original, some guy
wow.
from Downton Abbey. We'll get to it. We've just seen the third episode of the third season of Star Trek Picard, an episode called 17 Seconds. We're here to talk all about it, but first, a warning. We're setting a course for the spoiler zone, listeners, so be warned. We're glad you've decided to join us, but if you haven't seen the episode, spoilers are incoming. The official synopsis for 17 Seconds is, Picard grapples with an explosive, life-altering revelation, while the Titan and her crew try to outmaneuver a relentless Vatic in a lethal game of nautical cat and mouse. Meanwhile, Raffi and Worf uncover a nefarious plot from a vengeful enemy Starfleet had long since forgotten. This episode was written by Jane Maggs and Cindy Appel and directed by Jonathan Frakes. And of course, the no stardate, they're just not doing stardates now, but it does take place in the calendar year 2401 with a flashback to 2381, 20 years ago. So is Kestra...
Wait a minute. Are we saying...
How much younger than... I can't remember
the son's name?
The son's name.
I can't either.
He would have been 20. I don't know how old Kestra is.
Kestra's younger than
Jack
him.
was not here to complain about how the busted Jack is. There's no way he's 20.
God, I know.
They are.
No, I know.
They really want it to be 20 years ago. It has to be 20 years ago.
So we're saying that Jack, who is a 35-year-old playing 20, is the same age as Riker's dead son, or as his dead son would have been,
yes.
Is what we are saying.
That's exactly what we're saying.
What?
So, look, it gets tight. Nemesis was in 2379.
Okay.
So, 2 years after that.
Okay.
Beverly... Well, presumably Picard, leaves the Enterprise as well. They don't... I don't think we have the full timeline, but...
Right.
And Riker, leaves at the end of Nemesis, so he's already on the Titan and so on and so forth. So, okay, let's talk about the episode. There's no real facts to share other than we get to see more of Worf.
Yes, we do.
Fun.
That's fun.
And I guess we'll talk about the rest. But what are your general impressions of 17 Seconds? It's a long time to be on a bull.
Oh my God.
Take that, Luke Perry.
That's what the title of the
In your face.
That's what the title of the episode is.
17 Seconds. You didn't get that very, very poignant. You can't facepalm yet.
I got it, but it's so lame. I'm so sorry.
Oh.
Like, look, I understand. Like, that would have been really hard for Riker to go through that.
Now they've both gone through it. There's a parallel.
I know.
They are both fathers.
They are both fathers. They both went on the longest turbo lift ride of their life when Picard had a son that he didn't know he had 24 hours ahead of time. And Riker had a son that wasn't born 24 hours beforehand. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's different. It's just... I feel like the show is talking down to the audience and like okay, you know how you watched the latest, or not the latest, you watched like a Gundam movie and like they didn't even have like, this is what we need to catch you up on, because we just assume you've been watching.
I think I know where you're going
this entire time.
I did say that was bad. That
I
hurt
know.
my enjoyment of...
I know, and they should have been like, just in case, here's a brief little thing to get you...
The opening of the film could have been, war has raged in space since the Systems Alliance, whatever the backstory of Gundam is. I don't know anything about Gundam.
Right.
And then like, Gundam, we're going to do this.
Right. Whereas...
This is the opposite.
This entire season is the opposite.
Remember that this happened.
Yes.
Remember this other thing happened. And then all the important stuff
these characters.
Is yada,
this
yada.
happened, that... Yeah. And then also, like... I think you were saying, like, before we were on air, that we can imagine that a scene like this probably...
No, you can't, because then we don't get it that it's 17 seconds. That super affecting, poignant scene.
Yeah.
And then he immediately yells at him afterwards. I know. So that, like, they're connected as fathers. They understand each other. And then immediately after that, he's like, "Get off my bridge, you old robot fart." Fandom Casual says in the chat, "We need a Star Wars super title scroll." So yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Star Trek, episode 374,000.
I know. Right.
Is a robot now. Yeah.
Which is another thing. Like, I feel like they mention that only, like, either for jokes or throwaway lines.
They keep mentioning it because it's like, that's one of those, and I need a cooler name for this, but it's like, keep it out of the comments section.
Yeah, but
a lot of people think that a lot of this stuff is for Easter eggs, and I do think that's a thing.
Yes.
Does Worf say it's a good day to die a lot? Yeah. But does he say it like all the time? Does he introduce himself like that? No.
Hello, my name is Worf. It's a good day to die.
It's a good day to die.
Yeah.
Neutrogena T-gel will keep your scalp from dying. But like those are the Easter eggs. But I also feel like the other things are just them like going like, oh, we know.
But like, how about incorporating?
So when Picard's like, oh, hold on, I need a. Come on, your robot body can't handle this.
Right.
We know he's a robot.
Right. But like, why not make it like a part of the story?
Why not have Q make him human again?
Or that.
So he can die?
Yes.
Because we're clearly going to have him die.
I know. So I don't, yeah.
Well, we don't want to be here all night. Although I would love to talk to you all night.
Right.
So maybe we should just sort of go point by point through this. Because I know we've got a lot to comment on.
Uh-huh.
So I've talked with Ella, and she's slowly coming around on this. But this is obviously just, if you copy the Star Trek films outright,
yes,
you can call it an homage.
Yes.
And we're doing that.
Yes.
But like, we're not even, how many Nebula fights have there been in Star Trek movies? A lot.
Yeah. I mean.
So that's like, I'll give him that.
Mm-hmm.
You're this, in this fanfic season, and fanfic can be good or bad. Mm-hmm. You're giving the fans what they want, which is a ship between Picard and Crusher. Mm-hmm. You want to have a new next generation legacy, Star Trek legacy. So you're gonna have a son, but do you have to set up the exact? What if he knew, and they didn't tell anybody? You have to set up the exact same situation that, and you even have the scene which I talked about last week, and we got that scene which was, I did what you want, I stayed away. Except, only it's not. It is. Not. Yeah. Why didn't you tell me about? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the confronting Bev about Jack scene. We need to talk about Jack.
Yes.
Do remember how they explained how David Marcus was conceived in Star Trek 2? No, we just got it, right?
You know how humans work, right?
Hey, you guys love flashing back.
They multiply.
Put some Nick Fury CGI on those balls and let's do this.
Oh my God.
So, why do we put Bev in this situation?
I don't know.
You have to assassinate Bev's character in order to make sure that he doesn't know that there's a son. And my thing is like, and she doesn't have a good argument. She doesn't have a good one. Think of all the things that he's gone through in his life, Picard. Mm-hmm. He's played a flute and died on another planet. He's met Mark Twain. He's done all these, all those things. He's done all these things, and he can't handle it. And they try to make the point that's like, well, you're always trying to get killed. Bitch, do you watch this show? He's getting killed every week.
That's true.
And you're stitching him back together.
Yeah, he became Borg. I don't know.
I didn't buy it, and I think that they would have been better served if they had just yada yada'd it and just said, well, there was no time, something, moving on. But they tried. They knew that people were going to have a problem with it, and they tried to get ahead of it. And I just don't think that they did. What do you think?
I think that the way that they did it, and I think this is what you're saying too, I think that they really demonized Beverly. And like that really bothered me. And I guess what also bothered me is like, and I think I think Ella said this last week, that she was hoping that Picard's reaction would be like, oh my God, I can't believe you felt like you couldn't tell me. Like,
yeah, we don't even get that.
No. No, we don't get that. Maybe he's angry at first, but then
we get an acknowledgement by her that you always said that you didn't want kids. It's like, bitch, weren't you in Star Trek Generations?
Right. Right.
It not only does it make her look really bad, but it eliminates 20 years of character growth, more than 20 years of character growth for him.
That's true. That's true.
Just because he said, like, he yelled at your kid in the first season of Star Trek The Next Generation.
Right.
Doesn't mean that over the 25 years that you guys continue to know each other, like, you're not going to sense...
But it's going to be the same.
...a change in him. Can I just get one thing out of the way real fast?
Yeah.
Is there Schmartian in the Federation?
Probably.
I mean, look,
I don't know,
she wants to have a kid. Even in the Federation in the future, you probably got a window on that, and so she goes ahead with it. But just not telling him about it seems really bad. I don't want to go, oh, this man was so aggrieved. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just trying to treat them both like he should have had a thing. This for me, and I've always thought this about Star Trek 2. I always believed, and there are a lot of people who don't believe it, because the text is murky. I always thought that Kirk knew about David. But almost immediately, Carol Marcus said, I want him in my world and not in your world. And Kirk, for whatever his faults is, I can see Kirk being like, fine, and just like, leaving somebody in a Federation where everything is provided for is it's not as bad as, just running out on somebody in our world. Right. But he didn't even have that option.
No, he didn't. I guess what I didn't like, a couple things that I didn't like is, like, he didn't say, I can't believe you couldn't tell me, for one, but, like, for two, like, it just, I know he didn't have the chance, and I think that you're right, he should have had the chance, but I also feel like this was written from a very male perspective.
Oh, well,
and
two women wrote this episode.
Well, it just feels that way. Maybe it's just that it feels like this is a scene we've seen 100 times before, where there is a secret child, and of course the woman knows about it, but the man is like, why didn't you tell me, and I have every right to know, and blah 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 blah. And then why not something different?
Yeah, what if he had the child and she's like, I'm a mother?
Right.
The conversation is bad because it's so binary.
Right.
Because it does serve to demonize Bev, because he's apparently worked out all of his issues. And she even says, well, what if he was more conflicted? Because she even says to him, you always said that you didn't want to have a kid because your father was so harsh with you and you didn't want to be like that. And he's like, I've gotten over that. And I think he's right. He has.
Yeah.
So she has no good arguments.
Well, but like you said, like, why couldn't it have been more conflicted? Why couldn't we have,
Why couldn't he be denying it? Like, she does have to tell him, and he's like, well, that's not. We both took our Federation shots. There's no way that, well, things happen. He's like, I don't believe it. And he's resisting, because now he knows about it. He's mad at her because she kept him from him. But then they're dudes in a Star Trek show, and they're father and son. So he's going to have to push him away for a couple episodes until he finally gets with him. So it's like they're trying to do all the things. They're trying to have all the cakes and eat them all.
Right. And I guess why am I seeing the same scenes that I've seen 1,000 times before?
Well, why are you reminding me of a better movie?
Right, that too. Yeah. And I think one thing I really like about Star Trek 2 is I think you can interpret it like both ways, right? Yeah. Which I think is really interesting. Kirk knew about David, Kirk didn't know about David, and both ways are interesting. Whereas this, I don't feel like it's compelling the way it's written. And I would like it to be more compelling, and I would like Beverly to have more of an argument, and for us to maybe see that they're both conflicted. They both have, things that they were concerned about or things that they're mad about. I don't know.
There's a style of writing or sort of a way that you can lay it out. And they do this in Star Trek 2, where we don't know who Carol Marcus is. She's a brand new character.
Yeah, right.
But we get who she is right away. And it's a bit of a, you know, reveal to let us know who David is when he finally confronts Kirk on Regula. But we accept it all, and they tell you what's going on, but they don't over-explain it, and it just becomes part of the new reality of the story and the setting going forward. Whereas this is like, it's a fanfic thing where it's like, oh, these two characters, well, were always in love and they had a kid, and then we have and remember the time that we did this, and remember when this happened, and remember when that happened. And you could just spring it on us, spring it on him, spring it on everybody, have everybody deal with it going forward. But speaking of going forward, we have to go forward because so much stuff, they do so much in this episode.
I know.
Possibly too much. Yeah. We're going to keep talking about all the huge reveals and things that happened in this episode. Before we leave the whole fatherhood issue, though, I like, and hopefully they do something with this, but now they're mad at each other. I like that this is the one thing that like Riker is more experienced at than Picard. And I like Riker being like, you know, my two dads. Like Riker's like the other father figure, and he's talking to Jack, and he's like, you're in a crazy situation, you know, but you got to go talk to him, you know. And he tells Picard the same thing. He's like, these moments, you'll never get these moments back. These moments with your adult son. Before we're all killed by the lady from Pulp Fiction.
I know. I mean, I like that part of it, but I felt like the first line that like Riker says to Jack was just gross. Like something about like, oh, I've, you know, watched you being like before you're being born.
Oh, you're a science experiment that's been cooking for 20 years.
Yeah. I saw it happening. I'm like, oh, gross.
Do they not have any mutual friends? Do you know what I mean? Like if they were on Facebook, and even if they unfollowed each other, he would still see people's other people's posts saying that's a good point. He says so beautiful, Beverly. Who's the father? Right.
Like she cut it off with like everybody on
nobody's
the
like
main
John
part
Luke,
of the
long
crew.
time, no time.
Right.
Do you know about Bev? She's got this little blonde kid following him around or her around.
Right.
Anyway, all right. And also all this focus on the melodrama and the Sturm und Drang. She's like, oh, Jack and I have been helping like worlds that Starfleet has forgotten. Again, I
infinitely more exciting.
That's what I want.
Yes.
I want to know what's going on with Starfleet.
It
seems like Starfleet's not doing
here's
great.
the Star Trek that you want. Oh, do you want this?
Remember Star Trek?
Do you want this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about Star Trek. Let's talk about Worf.
Let's do it.
Michael Dorn looked good.
Michael Dorn looks real good.
He would trim.
Yeah. And
I don't think he wasn't ever like not trim, but like he's like, I'm gonna be on TV. I'm going to the gym. Looks good.
I like the silver, the gray hair. Yeah. I think he looks distinguished.
I mean, he's not that old for a Klingon, but
no.
Does this mean that all the other Klingons have been dyeing their hair this whole time? That's probably a huge thing in Klingon society, right? It's probably like it's like Targ bile or something like that.
Yes.
Because like Kempek was like Kempek's like, oh, we're going to get that. Okay.
Like are Klingons like secretly vain? Like, oh, I gotta be manly. I have to have my dark hair.
Well, the Vikings. I mean, they're partially based on Vikings, and you know, we think of Vikings as being like, bleh, but they're probably like, they weren't. They used to like paint their beards and they wear jewelry and stuff.
True. Okay. All right. They're partially based on samurai too, aren't they?
They're based on a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot of things that are not white America.
Right.
So
no, I thought he was great. I love how he the scene where him and Rafi kind of meet face to face for the first time, and like he bests her and she's like, "What? Who are you?" That was great. And then like the chamomile tea, that was fun. So yeah.
He is a good tea.
Yes.
He and Rafi have to track down Space Jesse Pinkman.
Yeah.
Okay, Titus Ricca. It's like, wow, I spent a lot of time on that one.
Wow.
And I guess that could lead us to our next big reveal, which is Changelings.
Changelings are back, baby.
Changelings.
Yeah.
Why? Because Worf?
I guess. I don't know.
Because on DS9?
I think he's the connection.
How are you going to get Changelings in this, and we're going to do DS9 and not bring... where's Garrick? Where's Bashir?
Oh my God.
He's out there.
Yes.
Get Alexander Siddig back in here.
Get them both in here.
If you're gonna do it, do it.
Yes.
There's a rogue faction of changelings. That's literally not how anything works. It'd be one thing to go, wow, these Vulcans, they're so nutty. They're logic extremists. Logic to the extreme. But that's literally not
skateboarding Vulcan.
How they work.
No.
So I hope that we will dig into that some more, but do you think that's a throwaway line? I could see it, right? The war throws their entire... No, I'm going to do their work for them. The war throws their whole civilization into chaos. Mm-hmm. Many ships crash and are stranded. You probably have a lot of changelings that can't make it back to the Great Link, right? And so maybe they find each other and decide that, well, we're not done fighting this fight yet.
Right.
And they're the ultimate subversive infiltrators, and so they're doing that. Like, I'm really helping them out here.
You are.
But does this put everything into question? Is Pulp Fiction a changeling? Is there another character on the show who's a changeling?
Oh, there has to be. That's a good point. There has to be at least one other character.
Is Worf a changeling? They don't know how
my
Klingons dye their hair. They don't know that.
Oh no! I would be so upset if Worf was a changeling. You have no idea.
Phantom Casual says, somehow Palpatine returned. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Somehow the changelings returned.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this might be a hot take. I don't know. I did not really like the new changeling visual effects. I miss the really crappy 90s changeling
this really shimmery FMV in a CD-ROM game kind of.
Yeah.
That's what you wanted?
Right. Because like when it was happening, I was like, what is this? I didn't understand. And I mean, I get it. It's like
what is this? Is Raffi torturing a guy by like refusing to give him medicine?
Well, that's what I thought was happening. I was like, but then I was like,
it
continued, and it was like,
what's wrong with the Federation?
Right. And I was like, does anybody who's high acts like this? Oh, he's a changeling.
Yeah,
okay.
I guess that wasn't really. She thought she was doing it, but she wasn't really doing it, so it's okay.
So it's fine.
So here's the thing. You bring back the changelings, fine. Everybody wants to see, I think, number 2 or 3 on that list is like, DS9 season 8 or a DS9 reboot or a retelling. What do you want? Going forward.
Yeah.
You bring back the changelings, there's the one thing that you can't do.
Bring back Renee Bergeron?
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
So why pick that?
The one individual who joined the Great Link. Yeah. So I'm guessing we'll get some kind of thing about, so all right, tell me what it's all about, rogue changeling. It's like when Odo returned, he changed things and he said things, and some people took it to heart, and he didn't want them to leave, but they did. They wanted to be individuals, and so they left the Great Link and do something like that.
Oh my goodness.
That's what he would have wanted.
No, it's not what he would have wanted.
Well, who knows?
Yeah. I also, did you notice, did it seem like the changeling guy, he was looking down at his wrists, at his handcuffs, and he was getting kind of twitchy, and then he, became the ooze self and, just slid right out of it.
Is there any reason that he couldn't have just held his handcuffed hands up and then went and just T-1000 them? How can you capture just stab them both or turned into a bird and flew away? Why was he locked into...
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah, none of it makes any sense.
But because he just didn't want to reveal that's what was happening. Just change how you look. Yeah. Change into a bird, fly away.
Turn into
and then change into
golden
how you
shower.
Look. Yes.
Like Odo did that one time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too intimate.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you could become anything. I think you could probably get away. You could become a spaceship.
Yeah.
Laws could become a spaceship and fly at warp. So
yeah. So you have no excuse.
So anyway, obviously we'll get more coming up as far as that goes. Chokeslam from Worf, that was pretty great.
Yeah. I think he would be great in wrestling. And I asked you what his his wrestling name would be, or what his catchphrase would be. And then you what did you say? Something like,
Are you going to tell my jokes?
No, go for it. I was waiting for you, and then it was like, he's not saying
day to kick your ass. It's not great, but it's what we got.
I think it's good.
Portals.
Yeah. Just
I love that they're just
leaning into it.
They're yellow, and they're just calling them portals.
Like, they didn't even
This
change
is Star
the
Trek.
colors.
They invented technobabble.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
know.
spatial trajection, device or something like that. It's just like,
Right.
they've got the portals. Who's got portals? They've got these portal weapons. They're using portals. The news is like, portal takes out the. It just, guys.
What are you doing?
Portal is TM, Valve Inc.
Yeah, right.
Isn't it?
Well, I think when you use it in this
I know you probably,
way,
yeah, I know.
right?
Well, when you use it in this way, a big yellow portal, then
Yeah, it's specific. Anyways,
so the ship shoots portals. I guess that's kind of cool.
yeah.
Speaking of the ship, we hired Amanda Plummer. She's not doing much.
Not in this episode.
No.
Not a whole lot.
No.
No. Did she even say much of anything?
She
this
was just
episode?
like, well, get him.
She was just smoking her cigarello, and that was about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then the aliens were glip glorping and
Glurping.
you
They're always
know?
just glurping.
Yeah. Yeah, that was weird. I also was like halfway through, I was like, when is LeVar Burton gonna show up? Gosh dang it.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
He asked for too much.
I guess. I guess Troy asked for too much too, because we just get a video call for her with like
She did show up.
like 30 seconds.
Yeah, she was in it for a little bit.
Yeah.
She gets more, I don't even know where she's from, estuary accent.
Yeah.
The longer the years go on.
She really does.
It's not even that like fake Greek accent or whatever she was doing before.
Right.
She's just like, when are you gonna go take care of this baby? So anyway, it's cute. I like it.
It's fun. Yeah.
So here's the plan so far.
Yeah.
We're assuming, because they've got portals, they've made this explicit.
They have.
Vedic has portals, so they must be in league with the changelings, right?
Mm-hmm.
That ship that we thought was a Romulan ship, could be like a Jem'Hadar or Dominion ship, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe that's what's going on.
Mm.
So what's the plot? We know the plot is they
Great
didn't really want the
question.
portals. We just wanted to continue the weird video game reference trend that's happening in Picard.
Yeah.
Somebody on the team plays a lot of video games.
Yeah, I think so.
And the real thing was to steal something else from the Daystream Institute, because
What?
when the portals are
Is
gone,
there?
you don't go look at anything else.
Clearly.
Oh, the portals are gone.
Oh my God! Where'd the portals go?
What about this empty box over here? They used to have lore in it. We all know they took lore.
I know.
He was in the trailer.
I know.
Oh, maybe they took Moriarty too.
Why not both?
There's
He's in
There's
it,
apparently
right?
only one lab in the entire Federation where you send the stuff that's the Indiana Jones warehouse,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Don't look in here.
So
Don't
Picard's
look in
like,
here.
yeah, keep this on, but do not open it.
Right.
We got a guy in there.
Yes.
Just, it's all right.
Yeah.
Don't ask any questions.
Why is this?
He sounds like the guy from The Nanny.
Why is this season like
Get it all done.
get it all done, and also like, who is this character? Oh, he's Beverly's son. Who else's kid could he be? Why is it doing that? Why is it like making things that are painfully obvious to the fans who have been watching these characters forever? And then also it's not a great reveal. We know it's going to be lore. We knew Jack was Picard's son.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, the Changelings was kind of a surprise.
The Changelings was a surprise. I will give them that much.
Mostly because nobody has really done anything with them.
No.
I guess one showed up in Discovery just as a tossed off kind of thing in the boxing episode. So yeah, I don't know. I think that there are a certain amount of things that we expect that we're going to get.
Yeah.
And especially when you show us the trailer and we, know that who's going to be in it. And so you still have to, I don't know. Honestly, I don't want to say it's bad writing. I think it's not good writing.
It's definitely not good writing.
Good writing would find a way to still deliver exactly what you're expecting. But because if you go, it was kind of, a lot of people thought that like Spock or somebody was going to die in Star Trek 2.
Right.
And they find a way to kind of trick you, in the beginning scene, but then also continue to build the stakes so that you're like, well, it seems like to get out of this, somebody's going to die.
Yes.
And then finally deliver it. And in retrospect, it wasn't a huge shock, but it still played to the hilt.
Yes.
So that you forget about the fact that they failed to fool you. And you're just getting what you want from these characters in this story. And they have not accomplished that yet.
No. And I guess...
And now that we know that, except for the changeling, I still think somebody's going to be a changeling that we don't know.
Oh, I think you're right about that.
Now that we know that like Worf is the handler, it's like, okay, well, any situation where there's somebody and we're not quite sure who it is, it's going to turn out to be Geordi, somebody that we know from the past. I like how she says like, oh, I lost my son. Hold on now. When did you lose your son exactly? So once they went to the Indian planet,
oh my God.
and he quit Starfleet.
Yeah.
22 years ago.
Uh-huh.
He literally he left and has been gone with the Traveler this whole time.
Apparently.
He was back for Nemesis. Maybe
That's right.
Maybe
he was
his
at the
three-fingered
wedding.
boyfriend came and picked him up from the wedding.
God.
It's like, well, I'm never going to see him again. So she's like, I already lost my son. What are you talking about?
I don't know. Even you think that Wesley would go visit his mom?
Yeah, he can go anywhere.
Know what I mean?
You can go anywhere, space and time, young man. You won't call me.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess what I was hoping to get from this season is like one last big adventure from the TNG crew.
You're gonna get that.
But not, right? Like, because like we're really pushing this Jack character, and I get it, but give me more. Where LeVar Burton isn't here yet, we don't have Lore yet because we can't have Data because even though he's an android, he's dead.
Yeah. Data's the only one getting out of this clean.
Yeah, right.
He's gone.
Exactly.
He's safe.
Right. But like, I was hoping to have them like all together, like figuring something out. Like
it'll happen.
I know, but when it's going
You
to
want
be
a movie?
like the last two.
This should have been a
episodes.
movie. This should have been 2.5 hours. Instead, it's got to be 10. And so yeah. So here's what happened in this episode. With the the completion of the reveal of Jack's parentage, the confrontation between Crusher and Picard, the flashback to the birth of Riker's first son, the reveal of changelings, the reveal of Worf, the portal, Jack almost dying.
Yes.
We'll talk about that in a second. The whole ship almost dying.
Yeah.
And then being stranded.
The captain
Picard and
dying.
Picard and Riker. Yeah, the captain getting knocked out. Picard and Riker yelling at each other. All of this had to happen in this one episode.
Oh, also Crusher doctoring better than the doctor on the Titan.
She was the head of Starfleet Medical.
I know.
But I just can't believe that the Titan's doctor, who is a lieutenant commander, by the way, full commander, is... internal bleeding. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So what did Jack do? What did Jack see when he was in Dreamland? He saw.
I don't know, man.
It's
it's
said
red.
Connect the branches.
Yeah.
And we saw a thing.
It looks
like we saw this flat, and we saw like what looked like a door opening.
Yes. But they said branches, so like branches of a tree or something like that. But the way they did it, right, it's like behind Seven's head. It looked like Seven's head was like growing tentacles. Like it was really weird. So connect the, I don't know what the heck that means. You know what it reminds me of, though, is the angel stuff from Discovery is what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
just like
we
vague
have those
images and,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
What do you think it could mean? Like branches of a family? What are we talking about here?
We've talked about this. I talked about this with Ella. There is something, I don't know if it's wrong, but there's something about Jack.
Okay.
We seem to get the confirmation that he was made the old-fashioned way.
Yes.
Although there's the weird dialogue from Riker about how he's an experiment. So I think that there is something about Jack. He is on an augment, or there is something in his DNA. He's been engineered to something, blah, blah, something, technobabble. There's some key.
Well, there's
to
a bunch
him
of people who
because
are after him for some reason.
He is right. They want him for a reason. If the changelings are behind them, maybe he has the key to changeling, permanence. They can be permanent forever or become solids or not have to sleep in a bucket.
What do I do to not have to sleep in a bucket?
Why is Vedic just a hired hand, or is something that she wants from them? We don't know. But this is all things that will be revealed.
I mean, honestly,
this is the thing that we don't know.
Right.
We've been presented with a lot of things that we know.
Yes.
This is the one thing that we don't know.
A lot of things that we knew before this episode started.
We still know.
That Rafi apparently didn't understand what was happening. She'd never seen a changeling before. Okay, she'd never seen one before.
Look, hey,
but Worf had to explain it to her.
The war was almost 30 years ago.
Okay.
When the entire Federation went to war. And
oh my God.
And Beta Z was invaded by the Dominion.
Yeah.
And some bombs blew up in San Francisco.
Oh my God.
That was almost 30 years ago.
Okay.
She was in high school.
Oh my God.
Or junior high.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, she didn't understand what was happening in front of her face, but Jack knew right away.
Did we solve the synth problem? Remember when the synths blew up Mars?
Yeah.
What's up with that? Do these guys
I don't know.
Get hired and know what happened on the show before?
No, I think
there's one guy that goes,
seasons are
have him say
self-contained.
that he's a robot.
Yeah, right.
People are going to love that.
I know what we'll do to end the season. Make Picard a robot, and then we can, continue to keep referring to that, every season. We've
done a lot of kicking of this robot.
Yeah.
And let me say something. It's good. One last kick, really. I was going to say something. Let me say something encouraging. You know what? This is positive. Not about Picard necessarily, but there is good and original sci-fi out there. Yes. And I hope that Star Trek can, and maybe it's arguable that TNG wasn't even original. Do you know what I mean? But I think they made something that people ended up liking and was influential. And I hope that Star Trek can return to that.
Me too.
And at the same time continue to make Star Trek better. A lot of episodes where, ladies are wearing not a lot of clothes and
it wasn't all
in
great.
TNG. And so it's better in a lot of ways, but I hope it's better in, the most important ways. Because remember when this show was about doing good and figuring out moral problems and not just having nebula fights? Yes. I hope it can get back to that.
Me too.
The show For All Mankind, which is produced and sometimes written by Ronald D. Moore, but also people that he works with, has a tough task. It has to basically retell something that's already happened, which is the origin of the U.S. space program. Mm-hmm. So it's an alternate history. They have to take things that have already happened and retell them in an interesting way. They have to take historical events and recontextualize them, and in some cases invent new ones as the timeline kind of splits from our main timeline. Mm-hmm. And they do it all by making the stories personal.
Yes.
And making them important to the people who are in the stories, and making the characters relate to each other, and then making that number one. And sometimes you get, oh no, Danny's taking pain pills, everybody. You get kind of weird expos that are like, I do not care about what's going on. This is dumb.
I know, every once in a while.
But it's still compelling, and it's ultimately about humans exploring space.
Right. Right.
Discovering.
Mm-hmm.
Discovery.
Yes.
Star Trek Discovery.
I know.
That's what it's about.
Yes.
And so I hope that we can, as we tighten the belt, cut some of the fat, I hope we can remember that.
I hope so too.
Yeah. Anything else to say about 17 seconds? We've gone way more than 17 seconds.
Isn't there something called like Gone in 17 seconds?
That's gone in 60 seconds.
No, Gone in 60 seconds, right.
Then there's 30 seconds over Tokyo.
Okay. So a lot of things with seconds.
8 seconds. That's that Luke Perry movie.
What's the so many seconds to Mars? What is that again?
That's 30 seconds to Mars.
30 seconds to Mars.
Yeah, but the Sins blew that up. So,
yeah. Like just don't force it, and also don't like retell your audience that has been watching these characters for 40 years.
A very
like,
wise
what
man
has been happening.
A very wise man who's going to be in a D&D movie soon said that maybe we should focus on this hardcore audience that knows this property.
Yes.
We should try to service them. What he might have added was not by just saying, "Hey, remember this character? Hey, look at this.
Hey, remember this thing that you
Transport
liked?
inhibitor. That's a thing."
Yeah, right.
Yeah, maybe we need to try and do that.
Like, just write stories with these characters that we know and love, and like write them well, and we will
do it.
Like it.
You couldn't afford him, but get Ronald D. Moore.
Ugh, yeah. It would have been so much better.
Think he'd ever write for Star Trek again?
I don't know.
No.
I mean, not in its current state. Sorry.
He'll never run out of Outlander books. So
I know, right?
Well, I think that if you agree, is it for our show this week. Thanks for joining us, listeners. And if you like what you hear, you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at EISTPOD to get updates about Star Trek and when new episodes of this show are released. And you can tweet to us on the show using the hashtag Discoverage, or email us at EISTPOD@gmail.com. And while you're on the internet, why not head to your listening platform of choice, subscribe to our show, Enterprising Individuals, give us a rating and a review, because it really does help us out. And if you like the show, tell a friend. Discoverage will return on March 9th for the 4th episode of the 3rd season of Star Trek Picard, an episode entitled No-Win Scenario. So expect a story about how Picard handled the Kobayashi Maru when he was at the Academy. And if we can save up all the CGI juice, maybe a flashback. Cast a younger actor, maybe.
Oh, please
see him
do
in the
that
Monster
and
Maroon
not
uniforms.
Nick Fury him. Please don't Nick Fury.
It didn't work out so good, but we'll see you there next week. Next Thursday, we'll be there to cover it, going live once again. Fingers crossed, at 8 p.m. Central. So join us. Follow us on Twitter or Facebook at EISTPOD to get notified when we are live and broadcasting. And at this point, I usually say to go check out our main show, Enterprising Individuals. I guess I'm saying it now. It's at enterprisingindividuals.com or on your listening platform of choice. The show is on a hiatus right now as we are retooling and getting to relaunch in the future. But all of our episodes are there, over 350 episodes of discussions with guests, writers, artists, Star Trek experts, scientists, and more. So check out Enterprising Individuals on your listening platform of choice. Mika, thanks as always for joining me to talk about Star Trek Picard, and remind people where they can find you online.
Yeah, you can find me, excuse me, and Sailor Noob at like wherever you listen to podcasts. And we're also on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, either noob_sailor. I think that's usually what we are. And I'm also at justenoughtrope.com.
Yeah, and I think that we, as co-hosts of Just Enough Trope, can announce here on this show that, speaking of retooling, there's a retooling coming up for Just Enough Trope. Mm-hmm. This Monday, we'll be releasing our 500th episode of Just Enough Trope. Yep. Just seems like yesterday.
It does,
we
actually.
We were talking about God knows what. And so that will be the end of the show in its current form, and it will be relaunching almost immediately again in a new kind of streamlined format. So if you're curious about what that's going to look and sound like, join us at justenoughtrope.com or at justenoughtrope on Twitter. Been talking for 7 years about movies, comics, and TV shows, and we continue to do that into the future. So you can find me at KA1IBAN. And while you're here on Twitch, hit the heart, hit the bell icon. You'll get notified when we go live again. That is it for us for this week. Thanks for listening. And this is Aaron for Mika signing off, saying live long and prosper. Where's the button to end it?